Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions right after this class.
Hi guys. Hello everybody. Hey everyone. Nice to see all of you all here. Hi Kushi. Hi Pal. Hi Sneha. Hello. Thanks for joining in. Hey, hi Sanvi. Awesome. So thanks for joining in. So hello everybody. I hope all of you are doing really great. And I'm here for a new class today and just waiting for a few moments before your friends just join in, and then I'll tell you what are we going to do in today's class and what are we going to learn in today's class. But all for now, you should be knowing is that we are going to have lots and lots of fun in today's class. Okay, so there's going to be lots of learnings, plus there's going to be lots and lots of fun in today's class. So I'm just waiting for a few moments and all of your friends just join in, and then we can together have fun. Okay, so let's give it a few moments till all of your friends join in. And it's a good idea in case you don't have any of your friends joining in. If you're enjoying the classes on YOLO, you should be insisting your friends to join in as well. And then together, you all can have fun. You all can have too many learnings because there are so many courses that we run in different aspects and different skills, be it dance, be it yoga, be it art, craft, and so much more. So it's all power packed at one place itself. You learn so many things together. So it would be fun if you could ask your friends to join in as well, and then you all can together have fun. So next time, if you don't have your friends joining in today's class, next time make sure that you ask them to join in, and we all will have fun together. Okay. So I see a good number of people who have joined in by now. So let's talk a little bit about what are we going to do in today's class. So today's class is about the watercolor chocolate waffles. Okay, so we are going to create a beautiful illustration of waffles. In case you're not aware what waffles are not really, you know, concludable whether it's a breakfast dish or it's a dessert, but it is sweet. It is generally had with maple syrup or honey or fruits or chocolates or ice cream. So when it comes to chocolates and ice cream, we all love it, isn't it? We love chocolate and ice cream. So that's the reason I thought let's do a watercolor chocolate waffles because we all love chocolate. Yes, don't we love chocolates? Do you love chocolates? Yes, tell me in the chat section. Do you love chocolates? Give me a thumbs up if you love chocolate. Give me a thumbs down if you hate chocolates. Come on. Let's see who loves chocolate. Yes. So there's so many thumbs ups coming in that yes, ma'am, we all love chocolates and I too love chocolates a lot. So that's the reason I thought let's make it a chocolate watercolor waffle in today's class. So we are going to create an illustration on paper, but this time it's going to be a little different because we'll try to make it as realistic as possible. Okay, so this class is going to have lots and lots of learnings about the properties of watercolors. So make sure that you all are carefully listening to me when the class is in progress and also enjoying creating that beautiful watercolor illustration with me. Okay, so now I think it's good time to start the class. I see good number of people joining in and I see few smiling faces, only few smiling faces. Come on, I want all of you to give me a nice bright smile and only then I'm going to start this class. So one condition that I have that I want all of you to give me a bright, beautiful smile and then I'll just get the class started. Come on, quickly. I want thumbs ups coming from you if you're ready with your art materials. Do not worry about the checklist of the art materials. The moment I share the screen, the first thing I'm going to do is discuss the art materials. So do not worry about it. Just for now, give me a thumbs up in the chat section that you're all set. You have your art materials in place and you're just ready to begin the fun activity and give me a nice bright smile. Come on, let's begin everything with a nice bright smile. Come on, yes. So we see Parth giving a beautiful smile, Sneha is giving a beautiful smile, Yashvi giving a beautiful smile, Janvi is giving a bright smile. Yes, come on, I want to see all the smiling faces on the screen. Come on, give me a nice bright smile before we just get started. Yes, there we go. So we have thumbs ups coming in the chat section that you guys are ready with your art materials and I'm not gonna make you even more impatient about it. I'm gonna quickly share the screen. We'll discuss the art materials and then we'll just get started. And again, a point to be considered is make sure that you have careful ear attention to the class when it's proceeding because I'll be sharing few tips and tricks about the usage of watercolors, few properties of watercolors, and also some professional tips this time. Okay, so this class is going to be a little advanced because all of you all are so talented that we thought it's time to go a level up in our watercolor learning. So make sure that you're carefully paying attention to each and every aspect of this class. Okay, so I already told you what are we going to create today. Now, all I'm going to do is just share the screen and then we are going to first discuss the art material and then go on to the illustration. Okay, so let us begin. Give me a moment. I'm sharing the screen. Okay, so here is the screen and I hope all of you are able to view the screen as well. I hope it is visible. Yes, is it visible to you? Awesome. So let us get started by first discussing our very favorite art materials which are required in this class. Okay, so we are discussing the art materials first. Number one, I have an A5 size drawing sheet. This is an A5 size. I repeat, this is an A5 size of white drawing paper. In case you're having a larger sheet, you're having a A4 size of drawing sheet, you can just cut it into half. You'll have an A5 size of drawing sheet. In case you're not having white drawing paper, you can use any other colored paper that is available at your place. In case you're not having this as well, I'm sure you must be having a notebook at your place. So you can also use a notebook sheet if nothing is available. So make sure you have a paper with you. That is something to create upon. That's number one art material. Second, we need a pencil and an eraser. So I have a pencil and an eraser to create a rough sketch and Eraser is essential in case we end up just making any mistakes on the paper while making the rough sketch. You can just quickly erase it. So make sure you also have an eraser with you. I have a pencil, I have an eraser with me. That's the second material. Third, we have these watercolors. So of course, since it's a watercolor class, we are going to learn different techniques of using watercolors, different properties of watercolors. So we need these watercolors. So the ones that I have over here are watercolor cakes. Okay, so I repeat, these are watercolor cakes. So what do you mean by, let's first understand what are the differences between different kinds of watercolors. So there are one watercolors that come in tubes. The one I have in front of me right now are watercolor cakes. So when these colors or pigments, these are called as pigments only. So when these pigments are in a solid manner and in a form of a cube, they are solid and they get activated when added water to it. These are called as watercolor cakes. So generally it is good to use watercolor cakes, but if you have any different mode of watercolors, that is fine as well. As I said, the ones I have over here are watercolor cakes. Okay, and as I said, watercolor cakes are nothing but the pigments or the colors are in a solid manner and they get activated when we add water to them. Okay. Fourth, we need a jar of water, a container having water. So I have water over here because again, as I said, I'm using watercolor cakes and these colors will get activated only when we add water to them. So we need water container or a jar of water for two main reasons. Number one is to activate the paints and number two is to clean the brushes. Okay, we are not going to use a single shade. We are going to use multiple shades. So we need to get cleaner brush every time we change the color. Every time we switch the color, every time we switch the shades, we need to clean our brushes before we move to the next color. So we need water to just clean the brushes as well. So make sure you have a container of water. Fifth, we need these brushes. So I have a thick and a thin brush over here. So that's size 8 and maybe size 3 with me. So I have a thick and a thin brush with me. These are round brushes, and as far as possible for you, also make use of round brushes only. Avoid using flat brush in this class because it will be difficult for you to catch up the technique. Have a round brush, it's fine. If you have a single round brush, you need not have two brushes like I have, and any number, any size of the brush would be fine. Okay. And sixth, I have a saucer over here, which I'm going to use like a palette. So you can either have a palette, you can have a plate, you can have a paper plate, you can have a steel plate available at your place. Or if you have a palette, you can simply use that. Since I do not have a palette, I'm going to use this plate as a palette for me. The palette would be used for mixing the colors with water and adding a little bit of more water to the paints, etc. So if you see at this area over here, I already have a palette at this pack of watercolor cakes, but I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use this plate over here. So if you have a palette, you can use that or you can go for a plate. Okay, so that is all that we need. That is simply the basic art material that we need in today's class, and the watercolors are the showstopper of this class. We are going to learn a lot many things about watercolors, so make sure you have these paints with you. Okay, awesome. So as I said, I would be discussing the art materials in detail. I've already done that, and now I'm keeping the paints aside. Let's first create a rough sketch. So all of y'all take your pencils now, get ready with your pencils, and now we are going to first create a rough sketch. So first we create a rough sketch and then we fill colors into it. Okay. So let us get started with the rough sketch now. We are going to make a piece of waffle in this class. So I'm going to make a piece of waffle, which is very, very easy. So we begin by drawing first a diagonal line, something like this, and the same on the opposite side as well. Okay, So two diagonal lines meeting at a point, something like a triangle, but we are not going to draw the other side now. Just draw the two sides of the triangle first. Just in this way, just like an alphabet V that I've created. So I've just created an alphabet V, something like this, and I've drawn these two diagonal lines. And now I'm going to join the ends of these two diagonal lines with the help of a semicircle. Okay, you call it a semicircle or a curve. So look how I've just joined these two areas with the help of a semicircle or a curved area. And now I'm going to leave a little bit of gap, and again gonna draw the same outline, the same two diagonal lines and the curve. Okay, so this is what we have drawn up till now. I'm going to quickly repeat a part of it. So here I'm giving an outline. So once we are done with the outer main sketch, I'm going ahead with the same outline. Okay, so this is what we have in front of us now. And now we are going to go ahead and add little details over here to the waffle. So we are going to draw these tiny squares or rectangles inside the area. Okay, so I'm just drawing these rectangles over here and I'm making them in alignment on top of each other with a little bit of gap. Okay, so just be rough with it. You need not be perfect at the ends of it. You can be absolutely rough and have freehand rectangles over here. And these are nothing but the holes or the pockets that the waffles have. Okay, so waffles generally have these square kind of thing all over it. So these are nothing but some space for some fillings which are available. So that is what we are drawing here as well. So these are hollow spaces in the waffle that we have created. It just looks like a pack of bricks to us, isn't it? So we have just drawn this. I'm going to quickly repeat it from here. So let us all quickly complete drawing this rectangle. Yes, so I hope all of y'all are drawing these rectangles over the waffle, the piece of waffle that we have created. They are in alignment, they are on top of each other, next to each other, and I'm also leaving a little bit of gap between them. Okay. All right. So once just done with the piece of waffle is ready for us now. Let's add a little bit of liquid chocolate on top over here. I'm just going to draw these zigzag lines and these rough lines on top. A little chocolate over here. And there's also a little bit of chocolate which is dripping down. So just going to create a little bit of drops at the side. Okay. I'm going to quickly repeat it. This is what we do right now. That was the chocolate part, the chocolate, liquid chocolate that we have created on top of the waffle. I'm going to quickly repeat it for you all. So just on the top side, we are going to draw some curved lines looking like chocolate, liquid chocolate to us. And we'll also have few drops at the side looking like there's some droppings of chocolate falling down. Okay, so we'll make it very, very, very chocolatey because we all love chocolate. You all told me that you all love chocolate so much. We're going to add a little more chocolate over here. Like it's dripping from the side, it's dropping from the sides. Okay, the rough sketch is ready now. We have the rough sketch ready in front of us. So it's now time to get started with adding colors to this and making it more vibrant. So just before we begin with the color part, everything, filling colors and everything, I want a quick thumbs up from each and every one of you that you're done with the rough sketch. Because when I start with the watercolor part, I do not want anybody to miss on to the learnings of watercolors. So give me a quick thumbs up in the chat section that you're just done with the rough sketch and even you have the rough sketch ready in front of you. Yes, come on, quickly give me a thumbs up in the chat section that the rough sketch is done. You have completed the rough sketch with me and you're all just ready to fill colors into it and get the learnings of watercolors. Yes, come on, quickly. I'm giving you 10 seconds to give me thumbs up. I want thumbs up from each and every one of you that you're just done with the rough sketch, and give me a thumbs up that yes ma'am, let's begin with the watercolor part and let's get into lots of learnings. Yes, come on, quickly. I see thumbs ups coming in that yes ma'am, we are done with the rough sketch and let us begin the watercolor part now. Okay, so we are just done with the rough sketch, and I think everybody is done with the rough sketch as well because I've received so many thumbs ups in the chat section. So I think now we are all ready to get started with the watercolor part. And now, first of all, before we begin, listen to me carefully that when I am uh, doing a process for the first time, I want all of y'all to observe on the screen because I would be repeating that process again for y'all. So when I'm repeating it, y'all can create along with me. You can fill colors along with me. But just for the first time, when I say all eyes on the screen, I want all of y'all to observe the process, because when you observe the process for the first time, it is easier for you to catch up the technique when you do it for yourself. Okay, so for the first time, patiently observe on your screens about the procedure, and then when I'm repeating it, I will tell you all when to create it for yourself. At that point of time, you all can create it for yourself. Okay, so now just for the first time, I want all of y'all to observe on the screen about the technique that we are going to use, about how are we going to begin adding color to this piece of chocolatey waffle. Okay, so I've just got my brush, my palette, the water container, and the watercolors with me. And first I wet the brush. So I'm dipping the brush into the water and I'm going to activate this brown paint. So what is activating the watercolor paint? It is nothing but adding water to the paint to activate that pigment. Okay, pigment is nothing but the color itself. The paint itself, in professional terms, it is called as pigment. So we are going to add water to this pigment. We are going to activate it and see how I take a little bit of paint outside over here in the palette. Okay, so I'm going to take a little more of the paint. Okay, and we have taken a little bit of paint onto the palette now, and now I'm going to add water to the paint. I'm not going to add too much of water to the paint. I'm adding only a little bit of water to the paint over here in the plate or the palette. So now I'm repeating it for y'all. I want all of y'all to carry out the same procedure for yourself. Take out a little bit of paint onto the palette or the plate that you're using. So first we are going to activate the brown paint. I'm using this brown paint, taking a little bit onto the palette. Again, taking a little bit of paint, and now we are going to add a little bit of water. Okay, so that mixture should be ready in front of you. It might look very, very liquid. It might look like it has lots and lots of water into it. So don't worry, that is what we want. And now we're going to use this mixture to first cover the whole area of the waffle. So don't worry, I know the shade looks very light to you now, but this is the base that we are giving. Okay, so this base is nothing but called as giving the first wash. I repeat, it is called as giving the first wash to our watercolor illustration. And giving a wash has a lot of water contained into it. So make sure that you are giving the same watercolor wash. And you might be wondering that why is the color so light over here? So the reason the color is very light in shade is because we have added water. So the first principle of watercolor, the first principle of watercolor is that in order to make a shade lighter, we add water to the paint. The more the water you add to the paint, the lighter it becomes in the shade. Okay, that was number one property. Let's quickly fill this with the paint. I'm going to first give a light wash. You may not give the wash to the chocolate area, but just the waffle piece. Okay, awesome. See how I've given the watercolor wash, the first wash to my illustration. I'm going to quickly take you a little back from here for in case you haven't completed it yet. Do not worry. I'm repeating it for y'all. So y'all can begin with me. This is the watercolor wash. As I said, we have added a little more water to the paint this time. And that's the reason the shade looks a little lighter to us. So this is the first property of watercolor. In order to make it a shade lighter, we add water to it, which is not the case when you're using acrylics. Okay, I'm just comparing acrylics and watercolors over here so that you get a better understanding of it. So when you want to make a shade lighter in acrylics, if, for example, if you want to make green as light green in acrylics, you add a little bit of white to it and then you mix it and you get light green color. But that's not the case typically in watercolors. When you want to make it a shade lighter, all you can do is add a little bit of more water to the paint and you will get a shade lighter, because the water constituent in the paint is more and it makes the color lighter. It makes the color transparent or translucent. And if you do not add much water to the paint, you'll have an opaque color. That is the opaque watercolor. That is darker in shade. Okay. So generally for the first wash, the base that I'm giving over here, we prefer giving a very light wash and then we gradually move from light to dark. Okay. So now since we have already given a light wash to our watercolor, we are going to gradually go ahead with a shade dark. Okay. So I'm done with the first wash over here. And now, as we all understood the first property of watercolor, that was when you add water to the paint, it becomes a shade lighter. So now I want to make it a shade darker. So come on, what am I going to do? It's going to be reverse now. So instead of adding water to the palette, the paint over there, I'm going to add a little bit of brown into it so that it becomes a little darker. So the same works in the opposite manner also. Okay. So this time we have less of water and a little more of paint as compared to the previous time. And then we'll use this paint for the borders. We'll use it for the borders. Okay, do not worry. I'm going to repeat it in case you missed it. Do not worry. I'm just showing you all where we have to actually paint this. Okay, so these are the borders that I'm going to cover with this darker shade of brown. So repeating it for you all about the paint mixing. So once we are done, we are going to add a little bit of brown to this mixture. So look, I'm adding a little bit of brown to the mixture, making it a little darker. And now I'm going to use this paint for covering the edges, because as I said, we'll move lighter to darker. So here we are using the next dark shade. We are moving from the lighter part to the darker part. And as I said, I'm just covering the edges first. Do not worry if it's not blending in. You can just simply use a little bit of water so that it will blend in nicely. Okay. So go ahead with the same technique on all the three sides of the waffle piece that we have created. All right. So look, I'm giving the border, and it automatically looks a little darker to us. So the reason it is looking a little darker is because we have added a little more paint this time, and there's less of water this time as compared to the previous one. All right. So let's go ahead and add the border. Okay. Awesome. And now for also the squares or the rectangles that we have created, we are going to follow the similar technique. We are going to again take the same mixture of the paint and we are going to quickly fill into the squares over here. So again, they look a little darker as compared to the base wash that we have given. We're using the same mixture with a little more paint as compared to the previous times and filling in the squares or the rectangles as well. Okay. So the same mixture of the paint that we use for the borders over here for the waffle, we're using the same thing in the squares as well, the rectangles as well. Okay. Awesome. Just going ahead with this brown shade over here in the rectangles. And I'm making it a little darker over here so that they look hollow. They look hollow because if we use the same shade of the wash that we have given, we'll not be able to identify the difference between the base and the squares or the rectangles that are there on the piece of waffle. So look how just by giving a shade darker to this area, the rectangles over here, it makes it look a little hollow. It makes these pockets look a little hollow. So that is what we have created now. And now we are going to again go a shade darker. Okay, so again a shade darker means adding a little more paint to that mixture. We are calling this as the mixture. We are going to add a little bit of more brown to this mixture and make it a little darker. So we are going again a step ahead in terms of the shade. So we started from the lightest, then we moved ahead to the darkest shade, and now we are moving to the darkest shade over here. So I'm again taking a little bit of brown paint onto the brush and adding it to this mixture. So quickly taking a little bit of paint over here. Okay. And now I'm going to use this for the pockets again, but we are going to add this only on the bottom side. Okay, so just at the bottom area, I'm adding this darkest brown just to give it a little more hollow look. Okay, so I'm just making these pockets a little hollow with the use of colors, with the use of shade. So again, if you spot, we have used a single color, we have used a single brown, but we have made it into different shades by playing with the content of the water into it. Yes, did you understand that? I'm going to repeat it again towards the end of this class about the techniques that we have learned. But I hope for now you are all also painting along. Don't worry, I'm repeating it for you all. Let's begin from here. So I'm using this brown paint over here, which has less of water and more of paint. So this is the darkest shade of brown that we have created. And I'm coloring only half part of the rectangle over here. I'm not completely filling it. I'm just painting the half part over here. So just giving it a shadow look, just giving it an effect that the pockets are a little hollow. Okay. Because as I said at the beginning of the class itself, we are going to make it look a lot more realistic. So we're going to also play with the shadows and the highlights of this area. If you see, we have just begin the first learning of the shadow. We have added a shade darker over here so that it looks a little more hollow, and that's the reason we have used a shade darker. Okay. Awesome. And now all that we have untouched over here is the chocolate drippings. So I'm going to quickly add color to the chocolate drippings, and there's no different technique over here. I'm simply using a darker shade of brown, another shade of brown. It's another shade of brown itself. In case you're not having another shade of brown, you can use a little bit of black with the same mixture over here, the same brown that you have. Just a little bit of brown, not too much, just a little bit of brown to this mixture itself. Or you can use the same brown shade that is available with you. The same brown that you use for the waffle, you can use the same for the chocolate drippings. Since I have a different shade over here, I'm going to make use of it. So I'm using the other shade of brown and I'm activating it by adding a little bit of water, not too much, only a little bit of water. I'm directly using it this time because I want the darkest shade. So I'm directly using it from the cake itself, from the watercolor cake itself. I'm going to add this on top over here. Okay. That is the chocolatey waffle getting ready. The chocolate on the waffle is getting ready now. And I'm using a thinner brush over here. You can use a similar brush that you have in case you're not having a thinner brush. Okay. And we are not using any kind of wash techniques or mixing the paint with the water this time because because we need the result to be completely opaque over here. We need the darkest of the chocolate over here, the darkest color of the brown for the chocolate over here. So I'm directly using this brown shade from the palette. Okay. Gonna quickly repeat it for you all from here. I'm coloring the chocolate now. I'm adding color to the chocolate. And I'm using another shade of brown itself. Okay. This is a different shade of brown that I have. And I'm using that. I'm going to completely color this chocolate topping to the waffle and make it extremely chocolatey waffle. Okay, almost there. We also have some chocolate droppings at the bottom. So there's loaded chocolate into this waffle, it seems like. Okay, almost there. Awesome. So this already looks so mouth-watering that I'm already craving for waffles now. Awesome. So the illustration is ready in front of us. Allow me to quickly take you to the two principles of the watercolors that we have learned in this class. So watercolors, number one, they are into cake form. They get activated when we add water to them. The more you add water to a particular pigment, a particular color, it becomes transparent, it becomes lighter in shade, and the more the content of the paint into your mixture, it is the darker or the opaque. And that's what we have used over here. We begin by number one, giving a light wash to our entire illustration, where we use a little bit of paint and a little more of water as compared to the paint. And that is why we have a lighter shade of that brown over here. We fill the entire space with a nice wash. That was number one technique, giving a wash to your illustration. And the washes are generally lighter in shade. Okay, so that was number one that we did. Then in order to make a shade darker, since the first learning was that when we add water to the paint, it becomes lighter. So it also works into the reverse manner. When you add a little more paint to that mixture, it will become darker. So we added a little bit of more brown to go a shade darker, and we use that for the pockets and the sides and the edges of the waffle. And finally, we added a little more paint and gave these shadows to the pockets or the rectangles of the waffle to make it look like shadow. And that is how we actually created this realistic looking waffle. And finally, we of course topped it with this loaded chocolate. We did not give any wash over here. We directly used the paint from the palette itself for this chocolate area. But the most of the learnings were included in this piece of waffle. And now this piece of waffle is ready in front of us. Yes, we are just done with the illustration, and this waffle is overloaded with chocolate. It is overloaded with chocolate. All right. So that was our illustration for today. And I hope all of y'all enjoyed this class, enjoyed learning different techniques of watercolors and understanding the properties of watercolors. And that was it for today. And please do not forget to make your submissions for this class, because I'm eagerly excited to see what you have created. And that was it for today. I hope you all enjoyed it, and you're going to take lots of learnings from this class. And that was it. I'll see you in the next class. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Enjoy all the hobby classes on Uolo. And if you have any special demands about what courses you want to go with, or what classes you want us to come up with, please drop them in the chat section. We'll try our best to come up with the courses that you are demanding. And yes, that's it. Take care, stay creative, stay happy. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link, and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at Uolo_app